Let's talk more about BANT. So BANT is a widely used framework in sales for qualifying prospects and determining whether or not they are a good fit for your product or service. The framework stands for budget, authority, need, and timeline, like we spoke about, and involves asking a series of questions related to each of these 4 factors to determine if a prospect is worth further pursuing. The reason I bring this up again is because BANT can be a simpler framework than MEDPIC, which we'll talk about soon, and can serve as a strong foundation on your discovery calls. BANT is typically used more in the early part of the sales process, while MEDPIC is used in later stages when the deals are closer to closing. BANT is a simpler and easy to remember framework that helps sales reps identify if a lead is a good fit and if they are ready to move forward with the sale. It is especially useful for companies with a shorter sales cycle and a less complex sales process. On the other hand, MEDPIC is a more comprehensive and complex framework that takes into account multiple factors such as decision-making processes, budget approval, and risk analysis. It is better suited for companies with longer sales cycles and more complex deals. Ultimately, the choice between BANT and MEDPIC will depend on the specific needs of the company and the sales team. Regardless of which framework is used, it is important to have a structured approach to lead qualification and ensure that sales reps are focusing their efforts on the most promising opportunities. Here are examples of questions you can ask in each of these areas. Budget. What is your budget for this project? How much are you currently spending on a similar solution? What is your expected ROI from this investment? Authority. Who is involved in the decision-making process for this project? What is your role in the decision-making process? Are there any other stakeholders we need to engage with? Need. What specific pain points or challenges are you trying to solve? How important is it to solve these challenges? What solutions have you tried in the past and why didn't they work? Timeline. What is your expected timeline for this project? Are there any upcoming deadlines or events driving this project? How urgent is this need for your business? By asking these types of questions, you can determine if a prospect has a real need for your product or service, if they have authority to make purchasing decisions, if they have budget that aligns with your pricing, and if they have a timeline that matches your sales cycle. If the answers to these questions are favorable, it's worth pursuing the prospect further. If not, it may be best to move on to other opportunities. When I worked in a high volume segment, a few of my reps would not take calls unless there was clearly an outline of timeline and budget, because remember, as a sales rep, you need to prioritize what has the likelihood to close next for you. And if it's simply a discovery call and we can't place the time they want to implement, and if they have no budget allocated for the project, you could very well be wasting your time. I'm about to share with you a little hack. The best discovery comes at the end of a discovery call. And here are 3 questions to use and how to set it up. Here's your setup question. In today's world, introducing new technology has become more challenging than ever before. I have observed across all my clients that in order to successfully implement new technology, it is essential to align with a specific departmental or company objective or KPI. Otherwise, the implementation process may become a standstill. And so the first question I lead with. From your perspective, which priority do we best align with? And then I go to question 2. Who's responsible for the success of that priority? Then I go to question 3. What's the best way to get them involved? Upon the first use of the product, the prospect revealed a previously unmentioned metric that was the utmost importance to them. This prompted a deeper exploration, revealing additional layers of information we didn't have before. Eventually, the discovery of an additional use case emerged, which directly related to an organizational-wide objective, which helped us align our initiatives to their goals. Prospects are always wary at the beginning of a discovery call. Once they understand more, they will share more. So save your best questions for last.